'Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is my land. This is what we pray for.
Using nefarious intent network.
Well, you've talked about password.
In an attempt to keep it hidden.
You won't understand. You won't understand. This is my country.
Jane Roe.
Jane Roe.
As in Roe v. Wade.
Jane Roe's case changed the country.
This is my deathbed confession.
AKA Jane Roe is a documentary about Norma McCorvey, who was the real Jane Roe in the famous case of Roe versus Wade.
She got thrown into the public spotlight in the most insane way, and her life changed forever.
Norma, you've allowed the killing of over 35 million children.
Don't want to with me.
Norma was seen as a symbol for pro-choice.
They needed a poor woman who could not afford to travel to one of the states where abortion was legal.
I'm saddened that other people want to abolish something that women should naturally already have.
So later, it was stunning when she swapped sides and became a real leader in the pro-life movement.
I have vowed to help do anything to overturn Roe versus Wade.
Jane Roe was now on our side. We were winning this social war.
Nick had unprecedented access to Norma because I think she realized she was at the end of her life. She was able to open up to Nick in a very intimate and confessional way.
It's my mind. They can't tell me how to think.
People thought that they knew Norma's story. People that had written her off were very surprised when Nick was showing them some interviews with her.
He brought a laptop and he played for them Norma's last words and thoughts.
Okay.
Gloria Allred, one of the most media-trained people in America, is left speechless by the things that Norma says.
Wow.
I wish that Norma would have seen the interview with Rob before she passed.
I had never heard her say anything like this.
I got goosebumps. My daughter had no idea who Norma McCorvey was. I felt it was very important to make sure that that gets told.
It was written in the book of life that I get stomped on, but then in the end, I would prevail.
Roe versus Wade has been one of the most important cases in American history and is more relevant now than it's ever been before. But at the center of it is this individual, this personal story, and I'm so excited that an audience will get to see it and learn who Jane Roe really was.
That's the name of that game.
Jane Roe's story was a terrible one. She said she had been gang raped, gotten pregnant, was desperate to get an abortion. That's what everyone believed, as long as Jane Roe remained anonymous. When she went public, she told a different story.
You were raped while you were in Georgia?
No, I wasn't.
You were not?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, so all those stories that are in the books and so forth are not true?
Yes, sir. Yes.
They're not true.
Right.
And it turned out that lying wasn't the only embarrassment this darling of the pro-choice forces presented. In her personal treatise published last year, Norma McCorvey told the story of her somewhat sordid life. Then she still adamantly supported abortion. Now she adds that to the list of sins she took with her into the baptismal pool.
I've cheated people out of money. I've sold drugs. I was an abusive alcoholic for many years. I've done a lot against his teachings. But I think the far greater sin that I did was to be the plaintiff in Roe versus Wade.
Well, there's absolutely incredible news from last night that we have to talk about. Normally, the U.S. Supreme Court is a black box. They hear cases, and then months later, they issue rulings. It's pretty straightforward. It's always been like that. None of the clerks or staff that work for the High Court run around talking about what's happening. They don't tweet about the process. They don't go giving us updates by babbling to the press. They don't become fake whistleblowers and then parade before Congress. No, they keep things secret. 10 years ago, for example, when the court was debating Obamacare, nobody knew what the ruling would be until the morning that it came down. The same goes for rulings on gay marriage and gun rights and virtually everything else. But last night, there was an exception. Somebody inside the court leaked the working draft of an opinion that hasn't been released yet. As far as we can tell, this is unprecedented. The draft opinion is one that we have been dreaming about for years, for decades, in fact. As a matter of fact, for a lot of us, it's the very reason that we voted for Donald Trump in the first place. Because Trump promised to appoint originalists to the Supreme Court. And for many, for me at least, that single-handedly outweighed every other doubt that we may have had about him. Well, it looks like Trump delivered. According to the opinion leaked last night, the Supreme Court is preparing to issue a decision striking down Roe v. Wade. The author of the draft is Justice Alito. But of the 5 justices in the majority, 3 of them were President Trump's appointees, Neil Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh. Quote, "We hold that Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood v. Casey must be overruled. The Constitution makes no reference to abortion, and no such right is implicitly protected by any constitutional provision." Unquote. Not only does this ruling strike down Roe, but with its reasoning, it's an attack on Obergefell, the decision legalizing gay marriage and a lot more besides. It calls out the entire fake architecture that liberalism has been built on for a half a century. Where instead of winning elections and then passing laws to do what they want, liberals have relied on getting the courts to simply invent new laws and then impose them on the entire population. Family, if this opinion holds up, then that era is over. This is a joyful day. But listen, it's also a reason for concern. First off, this isn't the final decision. And this decision was not leaked by someone in favor of it. No, it was leaked as a threat. Whoever leaked this wants to trigger a massive media and political backlash against the court to pressure them into backing down and preserving Roe. But that's not all this is about either. This is about stopping this decision by force, if necessary. Deceased Supreme Court members immediately lose their ability to vote on cases, even if those cases were argued while they were still alive. So make no mistake about it. Hear me very clearly. This leak is implicitly a call for violence against the 5 conservative justices on the High Court: Alito, Gorsuch, Coney Barrett, Kavanaugh, and Clarence Thomas.
A lot of people want attack cards these days because they're looking for specific nodes, AB nodes, SA. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them. Yesterday was the first time she said people wanted lungs. And then, like I said, always as many attack livers as possible. People just want
livers.
Some people want lower extremities too, which that's simple. I mean, that's easy. I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess they want muscle. But
Yeah, a dime a dozen.
I'm the medical director for the national office for all of the affiliates.
Right.
So I say, okay, what are you looking to supply today? We've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver. Every provider has had patients who want to donate their tissue, and they absolutely want to accommodate them. They just want to do it in a way that is not perceived as this clinic is selling tissue, this clinic is making money off of this.
Okay, so when you are or the affiliate is determining what that is monetary,
yes,
so that it doesn't raise any question of this is what it's about. This is the main. What price range would you?
You know, I'm going to throw a number out. I would say it's probably anywhere from $30 to $100, depending on the facility and what's involved.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The $30 to $100 price, that's per specimen that we're talking about, right? Yeah.
Yes.
How much of a difference can that actually make if you know what's expected or what we need versus?
It makes a huge difference. I'd say a lot of people want liver, and for that reason, most providers will do this case under ultrasound guidance, so they'll know where they're putting their forceps. Then a rate-limiting step of the procedure is calvarium. Calvarium, the head is basically the biggest part. Most of the other stuff can come out intact.
Right.
It's very rare to have a patient that doesn't have enough dilation to evacuate all the other
to bring the body cavity out intact and all that.
So then you're just kind of cognizant of where you put your graspers. You try to intentionally go above and below the thorax so that, we've been very good at getting heart, lung, liver, because we know that, so I'm not going to crush that part. I'm going to basically crush below, I'm going to crush above, and I'm going to see that get out intact. And with the calvarium, in general, some people will actually try to change the presentation so that it's not a vertex. Because when it's a vertex presentation, you never have enough dilation in the beginning of the case unless you have a real huge amount of dilation to deliver an intact calvarium. So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case goes on, and often the last you can evacuate an intact calvarium. So I mean, there are certainly steps that can be taken.
So they can convert to breech, for example, at the start of the.
Exactly. They can, under ultrasound guidance, they can just change the presentation.
Excellent.
Ultrasound guidance, they can just change the presentation.
They'll bring the body cavity out intact and all that.
So if you do it starting from the breech presentation, there's dilation that happens as the case comes out, and often the last kind of evacuated intact comes at the end.
Cause these are my people, and this is my land. This is what we pray for.